Before the door swings open, before the blessing becomes visible, before the breakthrough manifests in your hands, I must first close your mouth. Because what I am about to release into your life is too sacred to be announced carelessly. It is too powerful to be shared prematurely. It is too divine to be exposed to the wrong ears. You have been praying for open doors. You have been crying for breakthrough. You have been waiting for the moment when everything shifts. But I tell you now, the door will not open until your mouth is shut. Not because I want to silence your joy, but because I want to protect your destiny. There are blessings that die the moment they are spoken. There are promises that collapse under the weight of premature celebration. There are miracles that vanish when exposed to envy, doubt, or careless words. That is why I say to you, before the door opens, your lips must be sealed. You see, many people think that silence is weakness. They believe that if they do not speak, they do not exist. They assume that announcing their blessings proves their faith. But I tell you, silence is not weakness. Silence is wisdom. Silence is strength. Silence is the very atmosphere in which miracles mature. When you learn to guard your mouth, you guard your future. When you master the art of stillness, you unlock the flow of divine favor. The world teaches you to shout about everything you receive, but I am teaching you to treasure what I give in the sacred space of quietness. Because what is spoken too soon becomes a target. What is revealed too early invites interference. And what is celebrated loudly attracts forces that were never meant to witness your elevation. I have watched you. I have seen your faithfulness in the waiting. I have observed your tears in the night. I have counted every prayer you whispered when no one was listening. And now the time is near. The door you have been staring at for years is about to move. The lock that has held you back is about to release. The opportunity you have longed for is about to appear. But before I open it, I must prepare you. And the first preparation is not in your hands, it is in your mouth. Because your tongue has more power than you realize. It can build or destroy. It can protect or expose. It can multiply blessings or scatter them into the wind. That is why I must teach you this one crucial lesson before the breakthrough comes. Learn to close your mouth. There are seasons when speaking is necessary. There are moments when your testimony must be shared. But there are also seasons when silence is the highest form of obedience. And you are in that season now. The blessing I am about to release will test everything in you. It will test your humility, your discipline, your maturity, and most of all, your ability to keep sacred things sacred. I do not give precious gifts to those who treat them carelessly. I do not entrust divine favor to those who announce it to everyone. I give my deepest blessings to those who understand the weight of stewardship. And stewardship begins with your words. You must understand, when I bless you, the enemy watches. When I elevate you, opposition rises. When I open doors for you, there are forces that will try to close them before you even walk through. That is why timing is everything. That is why your mouth must remain shut until I say otherwise. Because every word you speak carries energy. Every announcement you make sends a signal. And if you speak too soon, you alert the wrong spirits. You awaken jealousy. You stir envy. You invite interference from people who were never meant to know what I am doing in your life. I hide you not because I am ashamed of you, but because I am protecting you. I keep your blessing concealed, not because it is small, but because it is so great that it must be guarded until the appointed time. Look at nature. A seed does not announce itself while it is underground. It does not shout about its potential while it is buried in the dark. It remains silent, hidden, invisible to the world above. But beneath the surface, roots are forming, strength is building, life is preparing to break through. And when the time is right, when the foundation is strong, the seed emerges, not with noise, but with power, not with announcement, but with undeniable presence. That is how I am working in you. I have planted something in the depths of your spirit. I have placed a promise in the soil of your soul. And while it grows, you must remain quiet. You must resist the urge to dig it up and show it to everyone. Let it take root. Let it strengthen. And when it breaks through the surface, the world will see it without you having to say a word. Many lose their blessings because they cannot control their excitement. They receive a glimpse of favor and immediately run to tell everyone. They get a small breakthrough and begin to celebrate publicly. They sense movement in the spirit and start making announcements. But I tell you, excitement without discipline is dangerous. Joy without wisdom is reckless. Celebration without discernment opens doors for the enemy to steal what I just gave you. That is why before the door fully opens, I must teach you restraint. I must train you to sit in silence even when your heart wants to shout. I must show you that the blessing is more valuable when it is protected than when it is paraded. Do you remember Joseph? I gave him dreams of greatness. I showed him visions of leadership and influence. But when he opened his mouth too soon and shared those dreams with the wrong people, he paid a price. His brothers turned against him. Jealousy rose up. And he was thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, and spent years in prison before the dream ever manifested. His gift was real. His vision was true. But his timing was off. He spoke before the season was right. And though I never abandoned him, though I eventually brought him to the throne, the journey could have been different if he had learned the power of silence earlier. I am teaching you now what Joseph learned through suffering. Guard your mouth, protect your vision, keep your promises close to your chest until I tell you it is time to reveal them. The door that is about to open for you is not a small door. It is not a side entrance. It is not a temporary opportunity. This is a door that will shift everything. It will redefine your life. It will elevate your position. It will change the way people see you and the way you see yourself. But with that kind of elevation comes great responsibility. And the first responsibility is learning when to speak and when to stay silent. I am not asking you to lie. I am not asking you to hide out of fear. I am asking you to move with divine strategy. I am asking you to understand that some blessings are so sacred that only a few should ever know about them, and even those few must be carefully chosen. When this door opens, people will notice. They will see the change. They will sense the shift. You will not have to announce it because my favor has a fragrance that cannot be hidden. But even then, when they ask, when they probe, when they try to pull the story out of you, you must learn to speak in wisdom. You do not owe everyone an explanation. You do not owe anyone the full details of what I am doing in your life. Some things are meant to remain between you and me. Some blessings are too intimate to be displayed. Some breakthroughs are too divine to be dissected by human curiosity. Let them wonder. Let them speculate. But do not feel pressured to satisfy their need for information. Your silence will protect you more than your words ever could. I know it is hard. I know the urge to share is strong. When something good happens, the first instinct is to tell someone. When a prayer is answered, you want to celebrate. When a door opens, you want to shout. But I am calling you to a higher level of maturity. I am calling you to a deeper level of trust. I am calling you to walk in the kind of faith that does not need validation from others. The kind of faith that rests in my approval alone. The kind of faith that celebrates privately before it ever celebrates publicly. Because public celebration without private gratitude is hollow. Public announcements without private surrender are empty. I want your heart first. I want your worship in the secret place before I ever allow your blessing to be seen in the open. There is a spiritual principle you must understand. What is conceived in silence is delivered in power. What is nurtured in hiddenness emerges with strength. But what is exposed too early becomes fragile. It becomes vulnerable. It becomes a target for attack. The enemy does not fear your plans. He fears your obedience. He does not fear your dreams. He fears your discipline. And one of the greatest forms of discipline is the ability to keep your mouth shut when everything inside you wants to speak. That is the mark of spiritual maturity. That is the sign that you are ready for what I am about to give you. Before this door opens, I am testing you. I am watching to see if you can handle blessing without boasting. I am observing whether you can walk in favor without needing to announce it. I am checking if you can receive abundance and still remain humble, still remain grateful, still remain dependent on me. Because many people can handle struggle. Many are faithful when they have nothing. But few can handle prosperity. Few remain grounded when favor begins to flow. Few stay close to me when the blessings start to multiply. That is why I must close your mouth first. Because if you cannot control your words, you will not be able to control the wealth. If you cannot guard your testimony, you will not be able to guard your treasure. I see the future you cannot see. I know what happens when you speak too soon. I know the relationships that will be damaged. I know the jealousy that will rise. I know the opposition that will awaken. That is why I am protecting you now by teaching you silence. This is not punishment. This is preparation. This is not restriction. This is redirection. I am training you for a level of blessing that requires a level of wisdom you do not yet fully possess. And that wisdom begins with knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. The world measures success by visibility, but I measure success by integrity. The world celebrates noise, but I celebrate obedience. The world wants you to perform, but I want you to surrender. And one of the purest forms of surrender is trusting me enough to stay quiet when I ask you to. It is resisting the pressure to prove yourself. It is releasing the need for applause. It is resting in the confidence that my approval is enough. When you reach that place, when you no longer need the world to validate what I have given you, that is when I know you are truly ready. That is when the door will open fully. That is when the blessing will flow freely, because you have proven that you can handle it with humility. Let me remind you of something important. Every word you speak creates a reality. Your tongue has creative power. It can call things into existence or speak them out of existence. When you announce a blessing prematurely, you release it into an atmosphere that may not be ready to receive it. You expose it to opinions, judgments, doubts, and attacks. And all of that can weaken what I intended to be strong. But when you keep it hidden, when you nurture it in silence, when you allow it to grow in the secret place, it develops roots that cannot be shaken. It builds strength that cannot be broken. And when it finally emerges, it comes with such power that no one can deny it, no one can stop it, and no one can take it from you. This door that is about to open is not like the others. This is not a temporary opportunity. This is not a small blessing. This is the door you have been praying for, crying for, waiting for. And because of its significance, I must prepare you properly. I must make sure that when you walk through it, you walk with wisdom. I must ensure that when you receive what is on the other side, you do not lose it through careless words. That is why I am teaching you now. That is why I am holding the door until I see that your mouth is under my control. Some of you have lost the blessings in the past because you spoke too soon. You received something good and immediately told the wrong person. You got a glimpse of favor and announced it to people who were not ready to celebrate with you. And what happened? The blessing was delayed. The opportunity was blocked. The door closed before you could fully walk through it. But I am giving you another chance. I am bringing you back to this moment. And this time I am teaching you the lesson first. Before the door opens, close your mouth. Before the blessing manifests, seal your lips. Before the breakthrough arrives, learn the power of silence. There is strength in stillness. There is authority in quietness. There is protection in discretion. When you move in silence, you move under my covering. When you speak only when I release you to speak, your words carry weight. When you guard your testimony until the appointed time, it becomes a weapon, not a weakness. I am not trying to take away your joy. I am trying to preserve your destiny. I am not trying to steal your celebration. I am trying to protect your miracle. Because what I am about to give you is too valuable to be treated carelessly. It is too sacred to be thrown into conversations with people who have no investment in your journey. You must also understand this. Not everyone is meant to know your story. Not everyone deserves access to your testimony. Some people are spectators, not supporters. Some are curious, not committed. Some want information, not intimacy. And when you give your testimony to the wrong audience, you waste the power of your story. But when you share it with the right people at the right time, it becomes a tool for transformation. It becomes a source of encouragement. It becomes evidence of my faithfulness. That is why I'm teaching you discernment. That is why I am training you to wait for my signal before you open your mouth. The door is almost ready to open. The blessing is almost ready to be released. The breakthrough is almost here. But I need you to trust me in this final stage of preparation. I need you to embrace the silence. I need you to resist the urge to announce what I am about to do. Because when the time is right, when the season has fully shifted, when the foundation is completely secure, I will give you permission to speak. And when you do, your words will carry authority. Your testimony will carry power. Your story will shift atmospheres. But until then, close your mouth, guard your heart, protect what I have placed inside you. This is not about secrecy for the sake of secrecy. This is about strategy. This is about spiritual warfare. This is about understanding that the enemy listens to your words and uses them against you. When you speak before I release you, you give him ammunition. When you announce blessings prematurely, you create opportunities for attack. But when you move in silence, when you keep your plans hidden, when you wait for my timing, you become untouchable, you become unpredictable, you become a force that the enemy cannot track. And that is where true power lies. So I say to you again, before the door opens, I must close your mouth, not forever, not as punishment, but as preparation, because the blessing that is coming is greater than anything you have experienced before. The favor that is about to flow will exceed your expectations. The breakthrough that is on the horizon will redefine your life, but it will only stay if you can steward it properly. And stewardship begins with your words. Guard them, control them, surrender them to me. And when the door finally swings open, you will walk through it with confidence, with humility, and with the kind of peace that only comes from knowing you obeyed me in the waiting. The lesson is simple, but the application is difficult. Silence is not easy when excitement is bubbling inside you. Restraint is not natural when blessing is on the way. But I am not asking you to do what is easy. I am asking you to do what is wise. I am asking you to trust that my timing is better than your eagerness. I am asking you to believe that my strategy is more effective than your celebration. And when you finally understand this, when you finally embrace the power of a closed mouth, that is when you will see doors open that were previously locked. That is when you will experience favor that defies explanation. That is when you will walk into rooms you were never invited to, because I, the creator of heaven and earth, opened the door myself. So be still, be patient, be silent. The door is coming, the blessing is near, the breakthrough is at hand. But first, I must close your mouth, not to silence your joy, but to protect your destiny, not to steal your voice, but to sharpen your wisdom. And when the time is right, when everything is aligned, you will speak. And when you do, the world will listen, because your words will no longer be empty noise. They will be the sound of divine purpose. They will be the voice of one who learned to wait, to trust, and to move in the rhythm of heaven. Before the door opens, close your mouth. And when it finally swings wide, walk through it in silence, in strength, and in the unshakable confidence that I am with you every step of the way. You may ask, how long must I remain silent? How long must I guard my words? And I tell you, the season of silence ends when I say it ends. Not when you feel comfortable, not when pressure mounts, not when people demand answers, but when I, in my perfect wisdom, determine that the blessing has matured enough to be revealed. That is when your mouth will open. And when it does, what comes out will not be empty words. It will be testimony backed by evidence. It will be praise rooted in experience. It will be wisdom earned through obedience. Your silence now is building the substance of your speech later. Think about a warrior preparing for battle. Before he ever steps onto the battlefield, he spends countless hours in training. He sharpens his sword in private. He strengthens his body in secret. He studies strategy away from the eyes of the enemy. And when the day of battle arrives, he does not need to announce his readiness. His preparation speaks for itself. His skill is evident. His strength is undeniable. In the same way, I am preparing you in silence. I am sharpening your character. I am strengthening your spirit. I am teaching you strategy. And when the door opens, when the battle begins, you will not need to prove yourself with words. Your life will be the proof. Your peace will be the evidence. Your authority will be unmistakable. I know there are people around you who live loudly. They announce every move. They celebrate every small victory. They broadcast every blessing. And you may feel pressure to do the same. You may feel like silence makes you invisible. But I am teaching you a different way. I am showing you that true power does not need a megaphone. True favor does not require advertisement. True blessing carries its own weight. When I elevate you, people will know. When I open doors for you, the evidence will be undeniable. You will not need to convince anyone. Your life will speak louder than any words you could ever say. There is something you must understand about the nature of divine blessing. It is not like human favor. Human favor is often given based on visibility, on performance, on who shouts the loudest. But my favor is given based on faithfulness, on obedience, on the condition of the heart. And my favor does not need promotion. It promotes itself. When I place my hand upon your life, doors open that were never advertised. Opportunities arise that were never announced. Resources flow from directions you never expected. That is the difference. Human systems require noise. Divine systems require surrender. So while others are busy talking, you must be busy trusting. While others are announcing their plans, you must be aligning with mine. While others are seeking validation, you must be seeking my voice. Because at the end of the day, the blessing that comes from me does not fade. It does not collapse under pressure. It does not vanish when opposition comes. It endures because it was built in the secret place. It lasts because it was rooted in obedience. It multiplies because it was protected by wisdom. Let me tell you what happens when you obey this instruction. When you close your mouth and guard what I have given you, something shifts in the spirit realm. The enemy loses his ability to track you. He cannot predict your next move. He cannot sabotage what he cannot see. Your silence becomes a cloak of invisibility. It hides you from the forces that seek to stop you. And while they are searching for you in the noise, I am moving you forward in the stillness. I am positioning you in places they never thought to look. I am opening doors they did not know existed. And by the time they realize what has happened, you are already walking in the fullness of the blessing. This is strategic warfare. This is spiritual intelligence. This is the art of moving with divine precision. And it all begins with your mouth. When you learn to control your tongue, you take control of your destiny. When you master the discipline of silence, you unlock dimensions of favor that those who speak carelessly will never experience. This is not about being secretive for the sake of secrecy. This is about being wise for the sake of survival. This is about protecting the treasure I have placed in your hands so that it can grow, multiply, and fulfill the purpose I intended for it. Now let me address something important. Some of you have been hurt by silence. You have experienced seasons where it felt like I was silent, where it seemed like I was not answering, where you cried out and heard nothing in return. And because of that pain, you associate silence with abandonment. But I tell you now, my silence toward you was never absence. It was preparation. It was protection. It was me shielding you from things you were not ready to handle. And now I am asking you to extend that same grace to your own life. I am asking you to embrace the silence. I am calling you into not as punishment, but as privilege. Because those I trust with great silence are the ones I trust with great revelation. The truth is, most people cannot handle what I want to give you. Their spirit is not strong enough. Their faith is not deep enough. Their discipline is not sharp enough. But you, I have been preparing you for years. I have walked you through valleys that others avoided. I have allowed you to endure tests that others would have quit. I have kept you in the fire long enough to burn away everything that does not belong. And now you are almost ready. The door is about to open. The blessing is about to be released, but this final test, this test of your mouth, is the most critical. Because if you can pass this test, nothing will stop what I am about to do in your life. I've seen too many people lose their blessings at the finish line. They endured the hardship, they survived the testing, they waited patiently. But the moment the blessing appeared, they could not control their excitement. They spoke too soon. They celebrated too loudly. And what was meant to elevate them became a trap. Jealousy rose. Opposition awakened. Doors that were opening began to close. And they wondered why. They wondered what went wrong. And the answer is simple. They did not guard their mouth. They did not protect the sacred. They did not honor the timing. And so the blessing slipped through their fingers. I do not want that to be your story. I do not want you to come this far only to lose it at the end. That is why I'm speaking to you now. That is why I'm pressing this truth into your spirit. Before the door opens, close your mouth, not out of fear, not out of pride, but out of wisdom, out of reverence, out of a deep understanding that what I am about to give you is not just a blessing, it is a responsibility, it is a stewardship, it is a trust that I am placing in your hands. And if you cannot guard it with your words, you will not be able to guard it with your life. So I ask you now, will you obey? Will you trust me enough to stay silent when everything inside you wants to speak? Will you honor the process even when it feels unnatural? Will you protect the promise even when no one else understands? Because your obedience in this moment will determine your experience in the next season. Your faith